Most compost piles fail for one simple reason. Gardeners throw in kitchen scraps thinking, organic equals good. And they never stop to ask what those scraps are actually doing to the microbial life inside the pile. I see this constantly in backyard gardens and raised beds. Someone builds a compost pile, fills it with food scraps, and 6 weeks later the pile smells sour, turns slimy, and just stops breaking down. The plants fed with that compost grow slowly. The soil structure stays heavy, and people assume composting just takes longer. The truth is simpler and, a bit harsher. Certain kitchen scraps actively suppress or destroy the microbial community that compost depends on. That changes the environment from aerobic decomposition to anaerobic fermentation. I tested this years ago in a pair of identical compost bins behind a raised bed garden. One bin received mostly vegetable scraps and leaves. The other got the same materials, plus leftover stir-fry and oily food waste. The second bin developed dense, greasy clumps that took months longer to break down. The oxygen-starved pockets encouraged bacteria that produce butyric acid, the compound responsible for that rancid smell. The third scrap that quietly damages compost microbial balance is large quantities of onion and garlic skins. These plants evolved natural antifungal and antibacterial chemicals to protect themselves in soil. Those same compounds can temporarily inhibit decomposition microbes. In small amounts they're fine, but when gardeners cook frequently and dump handfuls of onion skins daily, microbial activity slows noticeably. I tested this in a small hydroponic nutrient experiment as well, using compost tea from 2 different piles. The pile overloaded with onion waste produced a tea with lower microbial diversity under a microscope compared to a balanced pile. Another mistake people make is adding huge amounts of starchy scraps like cooked rice, pasta, or bread. These materials break down extremely fast and create a sudden surge of bacterial growth. That sounds positive, but the bloom consumes oxygen rapidly. Within hours, the center of the pile can become anaerobic. When that happens, microbes shift toward fermentation pathways instead of aerobic decomposition. The result is alcohol production, organic acids, and a sticky compost mass that takes weeks to recover. When I do add starchy scraps, I bury them deep in the pile and mix them with coarse browns at roughly a 1:5 ratio. Even fruit scraps can cause problems if they dominate the pile. High sugar fruits like mango, banana, and pineapple create microbial sugar spikes similar to what happens in fermentation tanks. Yeasts explode in population, producing alcohols that temporarily suppress other decomposers. In large farm compost windrows, this isn't a big issue because the volume buffers the system. But in a 200-litre backyard compost bin, it can shift the microbial balance for days. When I'm composting fruit waste from a harvest, I spread it across multiple layers and always sandwich it between dry materials. One practice that completely changed my compost results was treating kitchen scraps as nitrogen accelerators rather than bulk material. Instead of dumping a full bowl of scraps in one spot, I distribute thin layers through the pile and always follow them with 2 to 3 times as much carbon material. In raised bed gardens, I often trench compost directly in the soil. A shallow trench about 20 centimeters deep gets filled with scraps, covered with soil, and inoculated with microbes. Within 3 to 4 weeks, worms move in and the material is mostly gone. The same principle even applies when compost is used to support hydroponic systems. Many growers underestimate how important microbially stable compost is for brewing compost tea used in hydroponic nutrient supplements. If the compost used to brew tea comes from piles overloaded with antimicrobial scraps or anaerobic material, the resulting tea carries those imbalances directly into the root zone. I've seen lettuce systems develop root browning from poorly balanced compost teas that came from sour piles. The deeper lesson here is that compost success has less to do with what you add and more to do with how you add it. Kitchen scraps aren't bad by themselves. The problem is concentration and balance. Citrus, onion skins, oily food, sugary fruit, and starch-heavy leftovers can all destabilize microbes when they dominate the pile. But when they're diluted with enough carbon and oxygen, they break down perfectly well. Once you start thinking about compost as a living microbial system instead of a waste bin, your entire approach changes. You stop dumping scraps randomly and start building layers that support oxygen flow, microbial diversity, and balanced decomposition. The reward is compost that finishes faster, smells like forest soil, and actually improves plant growth instead of just adding organic matter. If you found this useful and want more practical, experience-driven gardening strategies like this, subscribe to the channel and share the video with another gardener who's serious about growing better food. The more we understand the biology behind soil and compost, the better our gardens and our harvests become.